This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
"6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Piris and read by Mario Vijayawardena. The headlines. The Chinese president congratulates President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Travel restrictions are to be lifted tomorrow under strict conditions, while 24 areas in 12 districts are isolated with effect from tomorrow. Over 200,000 recover from COVID-19. Medical specialists warn against the spreading of a new disease among children and requests parents to be extra vigilant. UN-EU experts to assess the environmental impact of the MV Express Pearl disaster. Interpol red notice issued to arrest criminals absconding authorities. In international news, China has administered more than 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses. In sports cricket, India versus New Zealand, the WT semi-final at Southampton, England. The Chinese President Xi Jinping has congratulated President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on his 72nd birthday today. In a Twitter message, the Chinese embassy in Colombo stated that the Chinese president has sent a congratulatory letter signed personally by him to President Rajapaksa. Furthermore, the message conveys that China will cooperate closely with the government of Sri Lanka to face the prevailing challenging time. The police spokesman, Senior DIG Ajit Rohana, says that the people should act according to certain restrictions and health guidelines even after the island-wide travel restrictions are lifted from 4 a.m. tomorrow. Accordingly, he said a minimum number of employees should be called for duties in government and private sector institutions. He said travel between provinces will be restricted and said travel through provinces will be allowed only for specific purposes. On public transport, passengers should be limited to the seating capacity. It is mandatory for every person to wear a face mask. The travel restrictions will be reimposed from 10 p.m. on June 23rd till 4 a.m. on June 25th. Meanwhile, 24 areas and Grama Seva divisions in 12 districts will be placed under isolation from 4 a.m. tomorrow. The National Operations Centre for the Prevention of the COVID-19 outbreak said isolation directives will come into effect in areas in the Colombo, Gampaha, Ampara, Batikalo, Ratnapura and the Kalutara districts. Isolation orders will also come into force in several parts of the Jaffna, Matale, Puttalama, Nuwara Eliya, Gala and Matra districts. Meanwhile, the isolation status already in place in 82 areas and Grama Seva divisions in 12 districts will be lifted at 4 a.m. tomorrow. The number of COVID-19 recoveries recorded in the country has exceeded 200,000. The Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health said 1,996 COVID-19 patients were discharged from hospitals today, bringing the total recoveries to 201,389. The number of COVID-19 cases confirmed in the country rose to 237,661 following the detection of 2,248 patients yesterday. 33,738 persons are currently receiving treatment for the coronavirus at several facilities across the country. Medical specialists have warned that a new disease called multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children was spreading throughout the country and requests parents to take extra care of their children. The consultant in charge of the intensive care unit at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital, paediatrician Dr. Nalin Kitulvatta, said this new syndrome was first reported in England in 2020. He said this new syndrome was related to COVID-19 and pointed out that children can be infected with the disease 2 to 6 weeks after being infected with COVID-19. He requests the parents to seek immediate medical advice if their children develop symptoms of fever, abdominal pain, feeling extra tired, vomiting, diarrhea, bloodshot eyes and skin rashes. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank.
The police spokesman, Senior DIG Ajit Rohana, says that a red notice has been issued on 24 persons through the Interpol who are hiding in foreign countries and manipulating various criminal activities in this country. He said that 13 individuals among them are involved in drug trafficking and organized criminal activities. He said so far 2 of them have been brought to the country. The spokesman said steps would be taken to bring all these criminals back to the country in the near future. A supplementary estimate of 200 billion rupees for coronavirus COVID-19 control and other government expenditure is due to be tabled in Parliament on the 22nd of June. The Finance Ministry's Secretary S.R. Artigala said the money will be used to purchase COVID-19 vaccines and to provide relief to groups and economic sectors affected by the COVID epidemic. It is noted that this is about 1.5% of the GDP. Meanwhile, Parliament is scheduled to convene on the 22nd. A meeting of the Committee on Parliamentary Affairs will be held at the Parliament complex tomorrow to take a final decision on the manner in which Parliament will sit this week. Testifying to the camaraderie and close cooperation between the armed forces of India and Sri Lanka way beyond the boundaries of the two countries, 135 Indian and 103 Sri Lankan peacekeepers from the two countries serving with the United Nations mission in South Sudan received medals of recognition from the UN Force Commander in Bor earlier this week for their contribution. Recognizing the services by peacekeepers from India and Sri Lanka, the UN Force Commander, Lieutenant General Shailesh Tinaikar, congratulated them for their contributions. The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation has launched a fresh initiative to provide information on employment and training for the prospective youth in the country. The initiative was launched by the national broadcaster this morning, and information on 6,000 employment opportunities was disseminated through its channels in all medium. The information is aired on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the City FM, the Tendril FM, the Tamil National Service and on Radio Sri Lanka. The feedback received for the initiative so far has been encouraging. That's local news.
Now, get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank. Wherever you are, being a state and private sector employee, to obtain EPF loan information and service details, just send a SMS mentioning EPF space name and region to 0718 800 999. HDFC Bank, the bank for your home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A UN team of oil spill and chemical experts provided by the European Union is working with the Sri Lankan government to assess the impact on the environment caused by the MV Express Pearl disaster. The team from the UN, France and Italy is a collaboration between the humanitarian arm of the European Union and the United Nations Environment Programme Office for the Coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs Joint Environment Unit. An independent UN report on the incident will be produced with key findings and recommendations on short-term response measures and long-term recovery planning and will be submitted to the government.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And now in Watchlight, the Public Health Inspectors Union has requested the public to act in a responsible manner when travel restrictions are lifted at 4 a.m. tomorrow. The union chairman Upul Rohana said they urge the public to adhere to the guidelines, especially with the highly transmissible coronavirus's Delta virus variant identified as spreading within the country. That came to you in Watchlight, and now in world news headlines. China has administered more than 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses. The Philippines extends ban on travellers from Sri Lanka and 6 other countries up to June 30th. The Duchess of Sussex says she hopes any family will see themselves represented in the pages of her children's book, The Bench. China has administered more than 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses, an astonishing milestone that comes as the country rolls out an unrivaled inoculation drive. China's National Health Commission said in a statement a total of 1,010,489,000 doses have been given as of Saturday. Those doses are almost 40% of the 2.5 billion shots administered globally. The NHC said 100 million doses were given in the 5 days up to and including Saturday, according to state media outlet Xinhua. The presidential spokesperson Harry Roque announced that the Philippine government has extended restrictions on travellers from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, the United Arab Emirates and Oman up to June 30th. In a statement today, ROC said restrictions on the 7 countries would continue to be imposed as part of efforts to ensure strict border control and prevent cases of the COVID-19 Delta variant from spreading in the Philippines. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, says she hopes any family will see themselves represented in the pages of her children's book, The Bench. In her first interview with the National Public Radio since speaking to Oprah Winfrey in March, the Duchess said that growing up she remembers how it felt not to see yourself represented. While the book opens and ends with depictions of Meghan's family, there is a diverse range of fathers and sons depicted throughout the story. And now the main points of the world news segment once again. China has administered more than 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses. The Philippines extends ban on travellers from Sri Lanka and 6 other countries up to June 30th. The Duchess of Sussex says she hopes any family will see themselves represented in the pages of her children's book, The Bench. That was world news, and now in development news, the Open University of Sri Lanka and the Korea National Open University of South Korea have entered into an agreement to develop the association ties in the open and distance education, capacity development, information and communication technology, the usage of laboratory facilities, research and publications, and staff exchange programs. The Cabinet has granted approval to the resolution by the Education Minister to sign a memorandum of understanding in this regard. That was development news, and now in sports news, India resumed on 146 for 3 wickets on day 3 of the World Test Championship final at Hampshire Bowl in Southampton, England. Indian captain Kohli was LBW'd for 44 runs by Jameson, and Ankit Rahane was caught by Latimov Wagner for 49 runs earlier. Overnight rain delayed start by 30 minutes. A short while ago at lunch, India were 211 runs for 7 wickets with Ishant Sharma and Ravindra Jadeja at the crease with 2 and 15 runs respectively. That was sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka's leading private sector bank, HNB PLC, disbursed over 1 billion rupees to entrepreneurs in the agricultural sector through its recently launched micro-leasing facility, offering micro, medium and small enterprises a myriad of benefits and opportunities. Working in line with the Central Bank of Sri Lanka directives to support and strengthen Sri Lanka's agriculture sector, HNB's micro-leases will be utilized to enhance the capabilities of over 400 agricultural entrepreneurs across the island.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. Courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka and the Colombo Stock Exchange are pleased to announce the introduction of a delivery versus payment system for stock market transactions. The go-live is scheduled for the 26th of July 2021, subject to a final round of testing and industry-wide mock runs. The objective of introducing a DVP system for the stock market in Sri Lanka is to minimize the asset commitment risk of sellers. Under the DVP system, the physical custody of shares will be transferred to buyers only on settlement date.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department forecasts a few showers to occur in the western, central, Sabaragama and the northwestern provinces and in the Galla and Mathura districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Wind speeds will be 30 to 40 kilometers per hour in the western slopes of the central hills, in the northern, the north central and the northwestern provinces and in the Hambantota and the Trincomalee districts. The Met Department adds that wind speeds can increase up to 50 kilometers per hour at times in these areas.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. The Chinese president congratulates President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Travel restrictions are to be lifted tomorrow under strict conditions, while 24 areas in 12 districts are isolated with effect from tomorrow. Over 200,000 recover from COVID-19. Medical specialists warn against the spread of a new disease among children and requests parents to be extra vigilant. UN EU experts to assess the environmental impact of the MV Express Pearl disaster. Interpol red notice issued to arrest criminals absconding authorities. In international news, China has administered more than 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses. In sports, cricket, India versus New Zealand, the WTC final at Southampton, England. That concludes this news broadcast. You're with Radio Sri Lanka.